a solution that we've built out for remote patient monitoring on, well, we use our products as well as Salesforce, but I think it would tie in, and we can certainly hopefully leave it open to Q&A at the end, just around, in general, around IoT solutions, especially in healthcare. So, a little bit about Etherios first. A global company. Some of our key products are our device cloud, which is really the hub for device data, and the social machine, which is going to tie on to Salesforce.com to bring that data into Salesforce. And in terms of service offering, we provide advisory consulting on Salesforce, wireless design, and Internet of Things solutions. And so for us, IoT solutions consist of 3 pillars, and it's the connected products, which is provided by our parent company called Digi, based in Minneapolis, and really they provide the hardware to connect any device that you like. Device management happens through our device cloud, and it's really the hub for the device data and the ability to manage that device data. And then the front-end UI is really based on the applications, and that can be done through custom applications, or often we do it use a Salesforce front-end interface. So, since we're talking about healthcare, I think this is probably not new to most people, right? There's certainly rising healthcare costs, and we're currently at 3.8 trillion in spending in 2014 for a variety of reasons, but certainly just a growing population, an aging population, and increased chronic diseases. Readmissions are certainly a big deal. 1 in 5 Medicare patients are readmitted after 30 days. So at an annual cost of around $29 million. You know, but there is, I think technology is providing solutions to help fix this. So, you know, there are currently 19 million people using remote patient monitoring, or there will be by 2018. And I think we're also seeing that that this is being proven out, right? There's a recent clinical study that came out by Geisinger, and they did a 5-year study of their remote patient monitoring solution, and showed that 30-day readmission rate went down by, I think, 38%, 90-day went down by, I think it was 36%, and overall a 10 or 11% reduction in cost. And so I think we're finally, and this has been going on for a while, but I think we're finally getting to a time where it's becoming reality. And certainly, as I hope you saw on the previous slides, Etherios has the components to build that, and that's what we're doing now. So let's talk a little bit about the stakeholders who benefit from a remote patient management system, right? So we'll talk about, ultimately it's going to be the patient, the family, and the physician. So we'll talk about the patient, Oscar, you know, who may have multiple chronic diseases, but he wants to be at home and worries about his health. Certainly, you know, the daughter, family member may be busy, she can't visit as frequently, she may, you know, live 1,000 miles away, but certainly wants to know more about her father's health. And the care provider, Nick in our case, has a lot of patients and limited time, and certainly doesn't have necessarily information in between appointments. And so there's a gap in what's shared between these 3 stakeholders. And so, you know, on that, I think there's an opportunity now with IoT and remote patient monitoring to really bridge that gap, and so that the patient like Oscar can know that he can be at home, he can take that reading, he can have better insight to his health because he can track that, while families can be more connected, gain access and insight to, you know, what is being missed, or what their family members, their parents are doing right, and certainly the care providers, as we talked about, right? They now have visibility holistically, and not necessarily that they're getting all of the data all the time, but they're getting information from that data. So in terms of what that looks like, we're calling the Etherios Connected Care Platform, is the ability to connect, you know, 1 or several devices. And so, you know, in our case, I brought a blood pressure monitor, but, you know, it could be activity trackers, pill bottles, scales, pulse oximeters, right? And then ultimately connecting it or aggregating and managing that data in the device cloud, and then building that front end on whether it be a custom application or, as we'll go through a quick slide demo today, really on Salesforce. And the reason we've chosen Salesforce in this instance is, of course, they provide the infrastructure for a lot of things that you might want from, you know, security and reporting and the like. So now, you know, when a patient goes home, let's say they've had congestive heart failure, they can be prescribed a solution, and it may be take your blood pressure, take your weight, take your pulse oximetry every day. And so now Oscar, although I couldn't find a good picture of an Oscar, so we have a Mary instead. She can take that reading, and what's great though is that you can get those notifications. And where those really are the big benefit are for people like the family members and nurses. And so, you might see, if we were doing the live demo, you get your automatic notification. For a family member, this is great because they can be anywhere, going about their day, and getting that information about what happened. So it could be that the patient missed a reading. It could be that the patient had a high reading. But the great thing is that now that family member can know what's going on and they can take action immediately, whether it be calling the patient or interacting with the care team, even via this application. And really, what I think is also more interesting is really what the care provider can do and what they can and how they can prioritize and do their job even more efficiently. And so you kind of look to the right of the screen there, and you've got, it's a little bit small, right? The concept of idea of wellness indicator and alerts. And so, now that you have this, you can build algorithms around if they took the reading, if they're meeting their readings, and get an overall sense of how well that person's doing, and then prioritize over time to know who you should handle. So at the bottom here, we've got Lindsay T, and Lindsay, she's doing all right. She's yellow-green in terms of overall wellness, but doesn't have a lot of alerts. So not someone I'm going to worry about as much right now. But we see at the top here, Oscar's had 7 alerts in the last week, and so that's someone that I really want to dig into and find out why that's happening. And so, when Oscar's taking that information at home, though, you have immediate access. And it might be kind of small, but you have immediate access to what those readings were. And I think more importantly is really what those look like over time. And so in this case, we're talking about a trending line on his systolic blood pressure. And so, if I'm a care provider or a nurse and I want to know, all right, I need to follow up with this patient, but what are the reasons? You can start getting, well, first that I can see that this is happening, and even if I have not seen this patient in a month, I see that at home, I see that there is this problem. But now I have more insight into why this might be a case. So before I follow up, I continue to look through the detail and easily to set up exception reports. So in this case, what you can kind of see at the bottom is the idea of connected pill bottle. And if you have a connected pill bottle, I can see that Oscar has not taken or opened the bottle of medication in the last 7 days. So a great insight that, it may not be the case, but it's a good first step. And me as a personal use case, I've had diabetes most of my life, and I just remember lying to my doctor about my numbers, or just forgetting. And it's the same thing here. If you now have this actionable information as a first step to understand what's happening. And the same story could be along weight, right? You see rising weight. Why does it happen? Well, I see an exception report of the activity monitor isn't recording the 3,000 steps that they should be doing today. But it's all about, where it is for us, it's about the information that it provides, not necessarily individual data, because there's so much data that is coming off this, and you don't want to overwhelm. And so, and as you keep going down, the last point around here is just then also the ability just to relate those contacts and build out care teams. And so, whether that be the nurse, whether it be family members, now how easily you can tie that information to those people who want to be and need to be involved in the care of a particular patient. Last point then here is just around the ability to have an audit trail around the actions that are happening and even the communication that can happen. So if you're a family member and you see something high or missed, you can chat or chat right with a patient or with the care team and have that record on the patient, so that the conversation is being kept in history and all in one place. So ultimately, right, Oscar has better care at home. He's able to stay home. He's happier because he can track his progress. Fewer trips to the doctor, possibly lower health care. Well, Heather certainly knows that it has cared for it. She has that peace of mind, and really families can be kept better connected through technology like this. And finally, nurses or care providers can prioritize based on wellness, and so they can serve more and possibly more effective care, and so that they have all the they have the picture of the patient in between visits, not just the the weekly or monthly visit that they have. And so, kind of wrapping up here, I think what's interesting is that these bullet points, I think, are relevant whether you're talking about healthcare or any type of Internet of Things solution. But there are ways to, you save that time and cost, and we talked about proactively identifying issues before they may actually happen because you have that insight in between. Certainly, depending where you're at, you're talking about customer satisfaction from a family member standpoint, right? With hospitals, they are happier because they have a solution that allows them to be close to the hospital and closer to their family member and better care. We talked about the increased efficiency, for instance, with care providers, collaboration, because all three parties can certainly can chat with each other about the patient's care, and ultimately, and also resolving issues faster. So that is all I have right now. Thank you, and certainly open to any questions.
I sketched the problem, the solution like this a few months ago and showed it to the doctors, so doctors hated it. And the reason they hated it because for legal reasons. If the patient feeds the data to the doctor all the time, the doctor is legally liable to act on any bad signals. Yep. And doctors don't want to do it.
I mean, I agree, right? I think we'll get there. I think there's a road to it. I think ways to do that are if the doctor wants to opt in, that's an option. It could be also too, one a stakeholder we didn't talk to here was payers, right? Insurance companies.
The problem is that there will be a lot of bad data. If you just walk a few steps, you measure the blood pressure, your blood pressure is high, and the data goes to the doctor, and because you just have to calm down and measure your pressure. Because although you have to filter the data before acting on the data or making any conclusions on it.
But yeah, I mean, it's a good point, and I think it's one you and I we could discuss for a while. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there's still challenges with getting acceptance of things like this. But as I kind of mentioned before, right? You can see some of the leading clinics like Geisinger starting to do this. Because they see the importance and the benefits it can provide. But yeah, don't disagree too.
I'm just curious, he actually read my mind, so I'll reword my question to focus on something else. So if Etherios is playing in the current healthcare system as it exists today, do you have to go through the typical approval process like for FDA, because you're generating data from biometrics and stuff, or well, more than biometrics. At the same time, it needs to be ingested into an EHR for the healthcare system to accept it as legitimate for analytics and diagnostic purposes.
Yeah, and so
the Etherios play there.
And so the clarification there is, right, we provide the solutions to allow you to do this. So, this is not, we did not manufacture this device, but we modified the hardware inside so that it's wireless. But yeah, so then we would ultimately have to work with the manufacturer in this case to go through the necessary approval process.
But the payer has to agree to carry out and prescribe it from a provider standpoint.
Of course, yeah. So we can help you build every part of the solution, but you're right. We're not going to be a med device company.
So are there any payers that are considering this as part of the system, or provider organizations for that matter?
Not that I can't say no, but I don't know any off the top of my head.
Given the pay-for-service model, when you're having this kind of data generated, how do you see the business model for being able to address a person's concerns and really act on the data rather than just collect it?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that's something we're still trying to figure out too. What is the right go-to-market strategy on this, and who the right buyers are. Is a hospital going to do it? Maybe not, because like I said, there's some that are like Geisinger who are ahead of the game, but there's others who I think are still worried about doing it. Payers ultimately could be one that's really interested, and they may want to have more contact and relationship with the people that they're providing care to. But we haven't had those conversations with payers yet. So I think it's for us at least. I think it's still an early market on how to approach that.
I see. And have you done any clinical trials to see with large groups of people if they're really even monitoring their data and how efficient it is? What are the problems?
We have not. I mean, personally, we have not. For us, we built out a prototype solution with a number of connected devices, but we haven't done it in a clinical setting.
Just a cheese part question was over here. You said that you would work with a device manufacturer to incorporate your technology or to enable that device to your platform. Correct?
Yeah, so what Etherios can do is...
And is that a proprietary solution, or is there some open source or set of APIs that my device has to?
So what Etherios can do is, right, we can do anything along the lines. So if you want to, if you have a pacemaker and you want to make your pacemaker wireless, you could work with Etherios' wireless design team to build an embedded chip that would make that pacemaker wireless. Ideally, for us, you'd go on our device cloud, but you don't have to. But if you did, then ultimately, yes, you could then either build new products or retrofit existing products to tie into our device cloud, and then on the far end, use something like a Salesforce front end, or build out a custom application to allow you to do visualize or integrate into something like an EHR, etc. Does that answer your question? Sorry.
So kind of along that lines, is there any sort of government entity that's trying to come up with a standard API or standard interface or communication protocol for these devices so that any manufacturer could be communicating, or you could switch from different providers, or when a hospital goes with Etherios, are they stuck with Etherios?
I don't know about any government entity, but like the Continua Alliance is a group that's trying to do that and get devices on a similar protocol so that they can all be connected. Anyone else? Thanks for your time. If you have any other questions, let me know.